I was thinking back on my experience taking the StrengthsFinder test, which has been renamed to Clifton Strengths, and how I've taken it 3 times over a 15-year period. I was thinking back about how old I was each time I took it and what was going on in my life at the time. I often get questions about the reliability of the results or whether the results are based on nature versus nurture. So I figured I'd create a video to share how my experience with StrengthsFinder has evolved in almost 20 years. The first time I took the StrengthsFinder assessment was in the early 2000s. I was probably in my mid-20s and just a couple of years into my career. After graduating with my degrees in engineering, I had moved to Boston and started working in product marketing and product management for a line of hardware and software products. I was the techie on the team, wiring products, creating demos that were used for trade shows, conferences, customer visits, and even marketing materials. I felt like I always had a screwdriver or wire strippers in my hand. In my spare time, I read personal development books, and that's when I came across Marcus Buckingham and the StrengthsFinder assessment. I took it and I found it interesting. I was drawn to the idea that my individuality contributes to my success. But they were just words in pages. I didn't really know how to take my results and use it in my day-to-day life. I imagine that many of you watching this feel the same way. You may have taken the assessment and thought, oh, that's interesting or great. But now what? There's a temptation to take the results, set them to the side, and just forget about them. But if you're serious about learning, really investing in your growth, don't make the same mistakes that I did. It took me 2 more times and more than 10 years to understand the depth in those results. In fact, I've been creating videos on various StrengthsFinder topics for just this reason, to humanize the tool and to encourage others to dig deeper into their own individuality. If you'd like to see those, you can start with this video on how and where to use your StrengthsFinder results. You can also visit my channel for more topics. The second time I took the assessment was in the late 20aughts, maybe about 2009. I was approaching my mid-30s and I was a product manager for a global product line. The company was in the midst of constant change, with acquisitions and reorgs at least once a year. This meant changes in bosses, priorities, people, processes, and even locations. But I was lucky. The company was investing in my development and they had gotten me a coach. The coach had me take a series of assessments, and this included StrengthsFinder. I took the assessment again and I was surprised by my results because they were different than what they were the first time, but more on that later. Even though I was working with somebody and there was the opportunity for interaction, which usually draws me in, again, I didn't know what to do with my results. To be fair, this was before Gallup was certifying strengths coaches, so this wasn't the focus of our work together. But again, this was the second time I'd taken the StrengthsFinder assessment, and I still didn't know how to take action. Apparently 3 times is a charm. Fast forward to 40. My father had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and we were told he only had months to live. Of course, there's no way of really knowing how much time he had, but it was really important to me to spend time with my parents before he passed. I live about 1,500 miles from them, so flexibility was important to me to be able to spend time with them in person. I was also miserable at work. I had been in my career for almost 15 years, and the company had changed a lot. I'm the type of person who tries to do what needs to be done to keep us pushing forward, but I was burnt. If I was honest with myself, I'd been miserable for years, probably a lot longer, but I would get occasional band-aids that would convince me that circumstances were just temporary. My sense of responsibility had kept me there, and I just hadn't given myself permission to admit to myself that I just didn't want to be there anymore. My dad's deteriorating health was the push that I used to walk away from my career. I didn't have anything lined up next. I had no plan work-wise, but walking away from my career allowed me to be able to spend time with my parents before my dad passed away. I literally had conversations with superiors about my choice. I felt like it was a choice between staying on my job out of fear and a sense of security, or walking away and believing that a path would unfold. I chose to walk away, and unexpectedly, it's been the choice that I'm the proudest of in my entire life. 6 months later, I got an email from Gallup saying that they were doing a 5-day intensive Clifton Strengths training program in Boston. I had the time, it was happening here locally in Boston for me, So why not? This was an opportunity to dive into this tool that I've been curious about and really understand what it had to offer me. So for the training, I had to take the assessment again. Guess what? My top 5 changed again. It took me 3 times and 15 years to really appreciate what's in my results. But I believe that it's mostly for 2 reasons. Number 1, when I was younger, I was really focused on what was expected. I worked really hard, probably too hard to deliver. As a result, I didn't even know what I wanted. You could say that from an outside perspective, I took the safe route by taking a corporate job. Yeah, I could do the job, but for my personal satisfaction, what got me through all those years was that I focused on people. I focused on my team, my coworkers, customers. I focused on anybody who was impacted by what I did or what I didn't do. And 2, on the surface, Clifton Strengths looks like a professional or a corporate tool. I did a good job. My annual reviews went well. If you looked at my resume, my titles, my global travel, my salary, you would think that I was succeeding. I was getting more and more responsibilities assigned to me. I must have been doing something right. It wasn't until I did the 5-day intensive training that I realized the depth in my results, how my results impact me day to day, not only at work, but also in my home and personal life. It made sense why I left my 15-year career the way I did. In fact, if you want to learn more about your talent themes and how they're impacting you day to day, how you can use them to transform your life, I invite you to my Talents in Action Masterclass. It's a free masterclass available right now. I'll put the registration link for you in the description. For those of you who wonder about nature versus nurture, I wondered about that too. Being the child of immigrants and the product of mixed cultures, I identify as Chinese Cuban American. I wondered how the way I grew up impacted my results. Having taken the assessment 3 times, I saw that 2 of my talent themes, connectedness and relator, consistently stayed in my top 5. The next theme that most appeared but was then pushed out of my top 5 was achiever. But it made sense that achiever would get pushed out the 3rd time I took the assessment because that's when I wasn't working. I believe that achiever was replaced by responsibility. I'm still focused on getting things done, but now I'm more conscious and motivated about why I'm doing what I'm doing. So seeing 2 talent themes hold strong for 15 years while other talent themes come and go, I've come to the conclusion that my Clifton Strengths results are a combination of nature and nurture. The talent themes that shifted over the years likely had to do with what was going on in my life at the time. The results aren't meant to define me. They're meant to give me insight. It makes sense that as I grow, mature, and that my life changes, that my talent theme results are going to evolve and reflect the changes of who I've become. So what about you when you look at your talent themes? Do you see that as your natural wiring, or do you feel that your life experiences have impacted your results? And if you haven't taken the assessment, no worries. I put a link in the description with information of where you can access the assessment. I highly encourage you to learn more about yourself and your talent themes. Clifton Strengths is an incredibly powerful and insightful tool that can make a difference in your success and your personal satisfaction. If you like this video, go ahead and do me a favor and hit the like button. To learn more, I invite you to check out this next video on how and where to use your Clifton Strengths results. And again, if you want to go deeper and learn how your talent themes impact you, I invite you to my Talents in Action Masterclass. It's free, it's available right now. Just go to the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.